I
We're
went
going live in a few seconds.
like unbelievable.
All right, I'm gonna give a countdown when we're ready to go. Just 3, 2, 1.
You got it.
Okay, you're live. You're live.
3, 2, 1. Welcome everyone to the Zorich podcast. Tonight we have a special guest, former St. Viator Lion, Notre Dame alum, and Chicago Bears top draft pick this year. And we have a special guest. Hopefully he won't steal the show. His dad, Frank Kmet.
Hey, how are you, Chris?
Yeah.
So when I had the opportunity to interview Cole, I wanted to actually talk to his dad as well, because his dad and I actually played together for the Bears, which I think is freaking incredible to actually have your son like play for the team that you played for. And this is like pro. It's not even like college. It's the pro. Mr. Kmet Sr., Frank, how does that feel?
It was great. You know, we were, I'll tell you, before the draft, you kind of put it out of your mind because you just think there's no way it's going to happen. So you're just like, it's impossible. So we just kind of moved on to other teams in our head, but everybody was rooting for the Bears. And when it comes true, it's surreal. So, I mean, it was amazing. You know, I had a great time there while I was there. I think literally every time you came back from practice, I got cut and then brought back. So it was.
It's not funny, by the way. That's so not funny.
It truly wasn't funny. But no, it's like a dream come true. You want your kids to do whatever they do, and you want them to love it. And then when you see them do something that you went through, it's special. It was awesome.
So I'm going to talk a little bit about that later, but since you're here for the first part of the interview, I mean, and this question's for you, Cole. Did your dad kind of force you into playing football, or was it kind of one of those things where, like, hey, if you want, you can do anything? I mean, what was it like?
Yeah, no, he definitely wasn't forcing it at all. I'd say, I think if anything, he kind of wanted me to play baseball. I think he kind of, what he went through with like his aches and pains now at, you know, his old age and stuff, he was trying to.
Chris is older, by the way.
Yeah, I know. I think he was,
like 15 minutes or something.
Yeah. I think he was kind of try and push that baseball on me, or, you know, something like that. So, yeah, no, never pushed it on me. But, you know, when I made the decision to kind of start playing tackle, he was all for it. And, you know, he's just been my biggest supporter since day one.
So what was that like? I mean, also we should mention that your uncle had like a 500-year career in the NFL as well, Judge Scanina, which is awesome. I mean, it's almost, I mean, that's a lot of pressure though, Cole. Am I right? I mean, you got like family members who have like gone on to the pros. Like if you didn't make it, like, I mean, like, like, would you be able to come back for like Thanksgiving or something like that?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I wouldn't be let back in the house or something. I never felt that type of pressure, and they never put that pressure on me. So it was always good growing up. Like, they were just always a knowledge source for me, where I could go to them and, you know, ask them questions about stuff. And yeah, but they just wanted me to have fun with what I was doing, and you know, continue to do well in school. That was really important to them, and kind of do things like that. But, you know, mainly just having fun with what I'm doing. So it was never like a pressure thing that I felt, and, you know, I think that's kind of the reason why I'm where I'm at today.
So at some point, I mean, obviously you're a tremendous athlete. At some point you say, hey, you know, I'm just going to stick to baseball and football, or, I mean, was there any pressure there? I mean, Frank, how do you, I mean, you want your son to do everything, right? I mean, did you want him to only concentrate on baseball and football, or, I mean, what was that conversation?
Well, I think what we did was, you know, we did know he was a unique athlete growing up. There was no question. We saw something that.
Well, kind of like his dad, you know.
A little bit like me.
Yeah.
Like I just knew. Nobody else knew.
Yeah,
But I think when we look back and you go, all right, this kid's gonna be pretty good at something. What are we gonna do here? And we just kept on coming back. You got to do something you love. And if you don't love it, it's going to be a long road. If you love it, yeah, you're going to have your bumps, but you're going to love it. And I'll tell you, up until really a month before the draft, I mean, he loves both sports. It was tougher to give him up both. And I think ultimately we sat him down and said, hey, you know, this might be the time you got to make the decision of which one you love more.
Okay.
And when we really brought it out and discussed all the scenarios and what people say, you know, people say there's more longevity in baseball and you got this in football or this or that. You really got to go back to your heart. Like, what are you going to wake up every day going, I want to be great at? And while you want to do both great, don't be wrong, which one really do you just crave? And I mean, without a doubt, it came back as football, which wasn't a surprise, but to a lot of people it is, because baseball is, I don't want to, it's easier on the body. It's a different sport, nothing like football. But I think when he started talking about how he feels on, like for college, what Saturdays meant to him coming out of the tunnel at Notre Dame, it's easy to pick football.
So let's talk a little bit about the St. Viator Lions, right? So you're playing. Are you playing basketball as well, or are you just playing football and baseball?
Yeah, so I came in planning to play basketball, and then I went to camp, and I was during the summer for basketball, and I was like, I never really liked basketball, so I was like, all right, you know, let's get rid of this thing and just focus on football. So yeah, no, coming in, just was doing both right away, and you know, it was brought up early, you know, as a sophomore to be on the varsity teams and whatnot.
Okay.
So, yeah, it just kind of took off from there, and you know, some great coaches at Viator and all that stuff, and you know, I was able to put in some good situations, and obviously it, you know, gave me the opportunity to end up at Notre Dame, and you know, which has now led me here.
So obviously you're very talented, right? And you have a dad, you have an uncle. I mean, you got folks that obviously aren't putting pressure on you, but want to see you succeed. Do you remember a time when you weren't involved in sports? I mean, as a kid, like, I mean, did you always have a bat in your hand, or were you always bouncing basketball or had a football in your hand?
Yeah, I mean, there was one time when I think I didn't have glasses at the time when I was younger, and I think I was throwing right-handed or something.
Oh. Yeah.
And he came up to me, and he was, I mean, I think he was just like, hey, like, you know, stick in there type deal, like you'll be all right, like not great, but just keep. And then I got my eyes fixed, and then I realized I was a left-handed thrower, not a right-handed thrower, and
Wow.
And the rest kind of took care of itself from there on as an athlete. So my eye-hand coordination was not great younger because I had bad eyesight, and then I got that fixed, and then realized I was actually a lefty, not a righty, and
That's crazy.
kind of helped out the situation. So.
And of course, Dad was like, "Well, you know what? You know what?"
I said I was proud of him, though. How about that?
You're like, you know what? I was a lineman. You know what?
I was whipping at the tee on the tee ball, and I couldn't.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So I showed him how to snap a football.
Yeah.
Right. Hey, last resort, you can be a long snapper. Believe me, you can be a long snapper. You're fine. So there's a decision you have to make, and this is kind of going to college in general. Were you looking for a place where you could play both baseball and football? Were you looking at just kind of academic institutions? Like, what was the process for you?
Yeah, I think like I was kind of thinking about all that. I mean, we kind of came down. I kind of made my decision pretty quickly before my junior season started in high school.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, I mean, really, I think I played a couple games, and I committed to Notre Dame. Like in my
wow.
Like I was a pretty early commit, but I kind of knew what I wanted going in, and we kind of funneled it down to Ohio State and Notre Dame. You know, for me, like I grew up love watching Urban Meyer in Florida with the Florida Gators. So like he was kind of like the coach that I like wanted to play for growing up as a kid. Like we'd always take our vacations down to Naples, and like I always like rooted for Florida because, you know, they had Urban Meyer and like all those
nice
guys and stuff. So when you get an offer from Ohio State and he was there, like I had to look at it. So that was like something really surreal, and obviously like the football that they got is pretty special over there.
Right.
So like that was a place, and I mean we took a visit, and you know Urban asked Casey, my younger brother, he's like, do you want to try in the championship rings? And Casey was like all about it, and like taking pictures with Urban Meyer, like had all his fingers like line up with his rings and stuff.
Nice.
So like we were loving it, and like, you know, we were pretty confident I was gonna be going there after that visit. But I had scheduled a visit to Notre Dame a week later in the summer, and you know we already had planned it, so we were like, all right, let's just, you know, knock out this visit, and you know I can, you know, commit to Ohio State afterwards. So I took that visit, and it just kind of, took our whole family, by surprise, really, like in terms of, it was a beautiful day, like 70 degrees and sunny. And we just had
One of the only few, right?
just like a home feel. And, obviously what Notre Dame offers with academics and such, and, Coach Kelly allowing me to play baseball as well. All those things kind of lined up perfectly, and it made it actually a really easy decision from there on.
So I don't want to get too personal, but I mean, was it kind of the ride back home for you guys, or after you guys had a meeting, were you guys back in the hotel room and you're mom and dad, I mean, this is kind of the place for me. I mean, what was that conversation?
Yeah, I think I remember we went to Eddy Street, and like we were at O'Rourke's or something. I think we got something to eat, and then afterwards we were kind of just walking around. I don't know, we just kind of taken in the whole like Notre Dame campus atmosphere and stuff. And I think that's when we all kind of realized like this was kind of like the best fit for me. Like Ohio State would be really cool and stuff, like to go play there and go play in that program. But like the type of program that Coach Kelly was running and the type of university that Notre Dame was, like that was the fit for me. And like that's where I was going to thrive the best.
Wow. So Frank, I know you're holding back tears at this point, and he's telling you what he wants to do, because you're like, you promised me a trip to Purdue. You promised me. No, I'm kidding. I mean, as a dad, I mean, what's that feeling when, hey, your son's obviously successful. He has a chance to go somewhere, and you guys are walking across the campus, and it could be on campus, but it just so happens to be in South Bend on a visit. And, he kind of informs you and says, hey, Dad, Mom, this is what I want to do. I mean, how are you feeling at that point?
Well, I think when you look at you've been through the recruiting, it all. It's a sales pitch. It's one after another. These coaches move from team to team to team. So when I went into this thing and I looked at it, I wanted some stability for him. You got to remember, I want to say that Notre Dame was 4-8 the year before he got there.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it was not a place you looked at and go, wow, this is going to be a winning team. Mm-hmm. But we saw it. We saw some things they were building there, and the way he was talking, and we talked to some of the players, and we felt like something was building. So I felt like that was okay. But then I really looked at it and said, hey, this is not about Coach Kelly. This is not about your tight ends coach, because the tight ends coach left, by his, I think, year. Mm-hmm. So it was more about a fit in the community and a fit for who you are as a person, because I wanted the school sells itself there. You don't really need anybody walking around. It really does sell itself, and the history of it and all that stuff. And it was a fit, and he felt it. So it didn't matter if they were 4-8 or 12-0. The bottom line is you can tell it was a fit. Notre Dame or Ohio State was more of it was just cool. How about that?
Right. And I mean, cool facility-wise, or just the tradition they're winning lately. So that's cool. I mean, what was the difference between Ohio State and Notre Dame?
I think what they had to offer for me as a student athlete in terms of like what I can see like myself growing into there. And I think it was just like I said earlier, just like a comfort thing. Like, I went to, in grade school growing up, went to a private school growing up, and then went to St. Viator, which was a private high school, and then going to Notre Dame, just kind of, it all kind of cycled to one another, and they all kind of just, lined up with one another. It was just a good fit. So I think just the comfort level and, where I saw myself there, 3-4 years down the road was just greater there than it was at Ohio State.
So, I mean, Frank, did you shed a tear, or I mean, what happened?
Obviously, I told you we got bombarded with Notre Dame people. Everywhere I turned, I just felt like this brotherhood of Notre Dame. So I got a good sense of the type of people that go there, and the same type of people still go there. It's good people. It's guys if you don't see for 30 years and meet back up to them, it's the same conversation you left off with. Just that type of person. I didn't grow up with a real big background in religion, and my wife did. She went to Catholic school, all this stuff, and my wife wanted to have him go to the public schools and all that stuff. And I just said, you know what, I would like him to go to these things. These are things I didn't have. Sure. And Notre Dame, when I got recruited with Notre Dame, it was Barry Alvarez and Lou Holtz recruited me. So they came into my high school. You can imagine that. And great as that was not a fit for me. at the time.
And they also looked at his grade sheet. And
So he mentioned that part.
So now that you got the truth out,
yeah.
that's what it was. I truly just wasn't a fit to it. And then when I saw him and how he acted towards things, and some of the guys that were going there already, it was a fit. So again, we weren't pushing them one way or the other. Didn't really care. I did mention the 7-hour trip home from Ohio State.
That is terrific. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're just tuning in, we're listening to the Zorich podcast, and we have Cole Kmet with a special guest, his dad, Frank, who we may lose in a couple minutes. I'm not sure. He's kind of taking over the conversation, but we'll wait till he leaves. Cole was this year's top draft pick for the Chicago Bears. And the great part about this is if you miss anything, you can check out my YouTube page at Chris Zorich 50. That was my little commercial. Until we get to sponsors, that's my little commercial.
All right, I like it. It was good. You need a deeper voice, though. You got to change the voice or something.
Hey, man, this is like my 7th week. So, I'm trying. I'm trying. So, Cole, you're now at Notre Dame, okay? And what is your time commitment with both football, baseball, and academics? Because we heard that your dad is such a stellar student.
Yeah.
Hopefully that kind of rubbed off on you a little bit.
How about this? On that note, I got to walk. All right, Chris, we'll see you.
All right, Frank, it was awesome, man.
Awesome.
Please tell Candace I said, hey.
I will.
You got it.
So you're asking about the schedule kind of going.
Well, yeah, I mean, just how do you balance, being a student athlete for one sport, it's a full-time job.
Yeah.
Now you got academics, and, oh, by the way, I'm doing another sport. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so going in, so I come in during the summer, middle of June, and from there on, it was just football for me for that whole first semester. So like everything I was doing, football training was just all football. So I kind of go through my freshman year and whatnot, and kind of towards the end of the season and the semester, I kind of start doing a little bit of baseball stuff in terms of kind of getting more stretched out, with my arm and stuff. Kind of in my own.
And this was the plan the whole time, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was kind of just figuring stuff out though on my own, just kind of like, all right, yeah, I got an hour here. Like, let me do some like stuff in my dorm room where I'm stretching out and stuff. So I was doing that kind of thing. And then we went to the Citrus Bowl that year. Yeah. Citrus Bowl versus LSU. And so we finished that up on New Year's. And then I had about 2 weeks off. So 2 weeks to go home and hang out. And then, back at it in campus, we had to report back. So we had 2 weeks off, and I just started throwing the baseball, for that first week. Started ramping it up more the second week, got back on campus. And then from there, it was just balancing football and baseball. So like I'd have football workouts in the morning starting at, 6:30 in the morning. And I worked with Coach Bayless, and we kind of got a regimen going in terms of, all right, like, hey, maybe on bench press day, I'm not doing the full bench. Like I'm
right.
modifying so like I can throw still. So I'm doing that, in the morning. I go to class usually from 10:30 till 2, and then I report to baseball practice at 2:30, 2:45, and go on with the day. And I was there sometimes till 8, 9 o'clock at night, or sometimes we had the late slot. If lacrosse wanted the indoor during the winter, and we were there till 10 o'clock at night, and then I get up the next morning at 6 and do it all over again. So it was crazy. Yeah, that first semester, there was definitely some times where it was like, man, am I doing, like, should I be doing this? Like, is this healthy? And it was tough, but I still the best part of my days were still going to workouts in the morning and going to baseball in the evening. Like, the academics is what made it so, like, really, really that stressful. Like, if I had that time off, like, it wouldn't have been hard at all. But, like, those academics in the middle, like, trying to figure that all out was the stressful part. So, like, I really I loved getting up and doing the workouts. And then, going to class is going to class. It is what it is. And then, being able to go to baseball in the afternoon was kind of relaxing in a sense, but also, I'm still getting work in. And then I'd be done by 10. So, I was kind of missing out on that social aspect, definitely in my second semester, but I loved, going to the workouts and then going to baseball. And then once the season ramped up for baseball in the regular season and we were traveling, I'd work out throughout the week, kind of that same schedule up till Thursday. And then we'd leave, and we were out in our first weekend we played at LSU actually. So we take off on a Thursday and get there, play Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then come back, and we get back at 2 a.m, and I'd be at the workout at 6 a.m. the next morning.
Jeez, that's crazy. Yeah. Well, what a lot of folks don't know, and what's a little different about football, you're traveling, you have a game on Saturday, you're traveling on Friday.
Right.
But with baseball, I mean, y'all got like 30 games in like a week or something like that, something crazy like that. So, I mean, did they have tutors on the road? Did you have to bring homework with you? I mean, what was that balance?
It was a lot of homework. I did all my stuff on bus rides. That's how I got all my work.
Really?
Yeah. You got to remember, for football, we had charters out of South Bend, and I'd have a whole row to myself. For baseball, we're a commercial out of Midway. So we take the 2-hour drive to Midway, get on the plane. We're waiting in the airport for about hour and a half to get on the plane. And then we go on the plane flight. And then depending on where we're going, it's like, so like for LSU, like we land in New Orleans, and we had to drive to Baton Rouge. There's another hour and a half drive or whatever that was.
Oh.
So the travel for baseball is nowhere near like football. It's totally different. So what I learned after the first weekend was, all right, I can knock out all my homework for that end of the week and for next week, all during travel. So that's all.
Wow.
I was doing. So on bus rides, guys would, be watching movies, and, obviously they're only playing one sport. So they can goof around and whatnot. But I got all my homework done, leading up for that next week. So I didn't have to do anything that next coming week. So then I would always look at my syllabus that the teachers had, and I worked with my professors so that I could get super ahead and then not have to worry about it on the weekend.
Wow. So now were there any other guys on the football team that did baseball with you?
No, there was no other guys. We had Troy Pride, who did track for a little bit, but he ended up stopped doing that. But so he was the only other two-sport guy. But yeah, no other guys were doing it with me.
So at one point, and you're gone now, and I'm sure you have a great relationship with Coach Kelly, but at one point, is he kind of Coach Kelly pulling you aside and saying, yeah, I know in your living room when I was recruiting you, I told you and your parents, yeah, you can play both, but you might want to think about football. Did he ever say anything like that, or?
Never say anything like that. And
wow.
Awesome. Yeah, he was great. I know some guys had trouble with him. I mean, I heard some guys whether it was Torrey, him wanting to be him at practice more often, but I think Coach Kelly knew I had my head on straight with the academic stuff, and that's the difference, is making sure you get the academic stuff.
Right.
As long as you're good academically, which I was, he's you go ahead and go do it. Obviously, he told me though, if I was struggling academically, that's a conversation we'd have to have. But I was doing well in workouts. Even in the spring, this my sophomore spring, we do this point board, and I finished number 1 in all the points, and I missed 5 workouts.
Wow.
In the spring, so it was never a problem. I was always doing well, always doing well in school. So Coach Kelly was always great about it, and that was one of his things. Obviously I had another year of eligibility to come back, and he's like, hey man, you've put in the work, you don't need to be here at spring ball. You can go do your baseball thing this spring. And
wow.
Really, he was really supportive through the whole baseball, and I'm really grateful for that. He was awesome about that. Yeah.
That is awesome. So you're there. Were there any kids that were coming in that wanted to play 2 sports, and he had you talk to them, or maybe talk to their parents or anything like that?
Yeah, I know. So Coach Elston at the time, who's our D-line coach, he had brought in some recruits that were definitely, looking at playing both sports. And I definitely talked to a lot of parents about it. To be honest, I don't know what happened with those kids or whatnot.
Right.
You kind of get in college, you don't really worry about it.
Right. No. Right.
But yeah, no, I had plenty of conversations with families about, their son wanting to play both sports. And, I was frankly honest, hey, it's not easy. It's really hard, but, if you really enjoy both, it's a lot of fun.
So do you have, and obviously you've had some success there, but can you share with us kind of one of your most memorable baseball moments that folks might not know from watching on television? I mean, with your other sport, but was there a time where you just, man, this is why I play baseball? Did you ever have one of those moments playing for Notre Dame?
Yeah, Notre Dame. I mean, so it was my first weekend at LSU. So I was still kind of getting my arm ready, and I was kind of coming out of the bullpen my freshman year. And so the second game of the year, we're up on LSU. I believe we were up 7-4, something like that. And
then, oh, I'm sorry. So, but then I know the LSU coach used to
Yeah.
coach at Notre Dame, right? Coach Manieri? Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah. So, they tell me to go warm up and get going. This is like the fifth or sixth inning. And then I come in and I, pitch 4 innings, shut them down, give up 1 hit, and obviously, finished the game and got the save and whatnot. So that was really cool to play.
That's awesome.
Stadium there was about 13,000 fans. I mean, which is huge for a baseball stadium. So that was pretty sweet. That was really cool. And then another one was, we were just playing in a tournament down in Charleston, and I closed the game on Friday. So I went 1, 2, 3, struck out the 3 guys, and then that Sunday I started the game, pitched 7 innings, gave up like 2 hits and only 1 run. We ended up losing the game 1-0, but pitched really well, and that was
nice.
Pretty cool. I was like one of the NCAA players of the week for that week. So
that is awesome.
Yeah, so that was a lot of fun. So those 2 moments like really stick out for me. Then it was a lot of fun.
So when you look at kind of back on your college athletic career, I mean, obviously there's success you had in baseball, some success you had in football, and I'm not asking you to compare like which is the best, but I can't imagine, because I had success in college, and I can't imagine doing that in 2 sports. So, I mean, I know you didn't have a lot of time to kind of hang out and do a lot of social stuff, but you had to have like a blast in college.
Yeah. I mean, for me, like what was fun for me though was going out and competing and doing those things, like, being out playing at LSU, and, being out, like I said, in Charleston, going to these different cities and being able to play, like playing against Clemson, like all that type of stuff was just really cool for me. So like, I never was like, oh, damn, I'm missing out on that social stuff.
Right.
I got enough of that, in the summers when we were working out. But yeah, no, that's what I love doing. And I just really enjoyed all that. And I had a lot of fun with it.
That's awesome. Okay. So now that's the athletic side. So, and again, we're going to talk about football in a minute. Do you have what dorm did you live in on campus?
I lived in O'Neill.
Okay. So now O'Neill, is that over by Grace and Flanner? Or is that on the other side of campus?
That's on the other side. It's by the golf course. I don't know.
Okay.
Where the Warren Golf Course is.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's like right over there.
Okay. So were the time we were there, did you, and I think what's unique, and a lot of folks may know this, they may not know this, but what's unique about Notre Dame is that they do not have athletic dorms.
No.
And so the relationships you build with the folks in your dorm are with your RA, with other students, with folks that, aren't necessarily athletic or aren't necessarily athletes. And so can you kind of share with us maybe an experience, something memorable you remember from kind of that time, kind of hanging out and not that you had a lot of time, but like a non-athletic experience you can share with us?
I mean, I still love the dorm experience that I had. I mean, I had a random roommate, obviously, my first year, and he was great. We got along awesome, and we had a great year together. It was like a pleasant surprise for me, like kind of totally. He was from Louisiana, like totally different background, and he wasn't really into sports, like how I was, obviously, but we got along great, and we had a great year, and we still talk to this day. And then
That's awesome.
my sophomore year, I roomed with a buddy I met in the dorm, so in O'Neill.
Okay. Oh, wow. Okay.
He's one of my best friends, and he's a great guy, and a guy that I'll obviously keep in touch with for the rest of my life. He's an awesome dude, and so I've met some great people in the dorms, and I had a lot of fun, kind of with that whole experience.
So I don't want to sound like I'm one of those crazy old alumni that wear the Notre Dame pants with the leprechauns on them, but my college roommate also played football, and he's my best friend to this day. He lives maybe 45 minutes from me.
Yeah. And
I talk to him maybe 9-10 times a week.
Mm-hmm.
And so these relationships that you have, and I'm not saying Notre Dame is that special that you can't have these type of relationships anywhere, but you're at such a young age that understanding of what relationships are, and not really seeing it as a young kid, But I'm just telling you, as an old dude, these relationships you're going to have forever, honestly.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's pretty special. I mean, just being able to meet the people I've met at Notre Dame, and not only the teammates that I've been able to meet, but like the regular students, it's pretty cool, and that's kind of what makes the place so special.
So now that you have a chance to, we're going to talk about football for a little bit.
Yeah.
You had an amazing career. So the idea that, who were the tight ends when you were being recruited for Notre Dame?
So when I was being recruited, Eifert had just left a couple years prior to that. Ben Koyak had just left, and then Durham Smythe was there, who's a fifth year. He ended up getting drafted in the 4th round by the Dolphins.
Wow.
So yeah, Durham for me was a guy as a fifth year. He was a fifth year, and me coming as a freshman, that I was able to learn a lot from, and he kind of took me under his wing in terms of teaching me like how to handle the process of college football. I mean, it's the jump from high school to college is just so drastic, because you're dealing with, Durham was at that time to 22 and gonna be 23, and I'm
right.
18, 19. That's a huge difference, and they've been around. He's been around. He knows what the process is like, and it's a huge jump. So the speed of play is one thing, and knowing a full playbook and knowing how to read defenses and all this stuff in college. And he was just a guy that kind of really took me under his wing and kind of showed me the ropes and kind of showed me how to handle the whole college process.
If you're just tuning in, you're listening to the Zorich podcast with our guest, Notre Dame alum, Chicago Bears top draft pick, and the pride of St. Viator, Cole Kmet. If you missed any of this interview, you can check it out on YouTube at Chris Zorich 50. Talk a little bit more about football. One of the things that, and I won a national championship. I get drafted by the Bears in the 2nd round.
Yeah.
Talk about that a little bit. But my most memorable athletic moments, and again, this is me. I'm obviously going to ask you what yours are. But for me, it was the team prayer that we did before we got to the stadium.
Mm-hmm.
So it was at the time, and I don't know if it's different now, but it was the team, and you set it, and it was almost like we were preparing for war, right? And I'm not trying to compare it to our military and anything else, but at the time I'm 18 years old, and I feel like this is a battle, and it's going to be rough, and I'm in here with my brothers, and we're praying, and I don't know how this is going to end, and so I remember that, and then the walk over. Like, I don't remember how many tackles I had or whatever in the games, but all I remember is just being in this moment that was so special, so surreal. Like, what were some of the moments for you during your football career there?
Yeah, I think for me, my favorite thing of game day is the walk. That's my favorite thing. Because you're kind of, for us, I don't know how your process was when you guys were kind of going through it, but like, we'd be at the hotel on game day, and then we get up, we get a little breakfast, we do a little walkthrough, we go up, we go change into our suits and whatnot, and then we come back down for pregame meal. We say our prayer together, kind of like you mentioned. We eat kind of really quiet and silence. Everyone's kind of focused, and hop on the bus. Everyone's got their earbuds in, and then we go to our auditorium room in the Goog, and Coach Kelly kind of says a few words, and then puts on our kind of like, I guess, our hype video.
Right.
So we watch that. That's about a minute, 2 minutes. And then we get up, and, everyone's still quiet, locked in. And Coach Kelly made a rule when I got there that no headphones during the walk, because he wanted everybody interacting and kind of soaking it all in.
Sure.
And, if that wasn't a rule, I would have my headphones in, wouldn't look at anybody.
Right.
So he made that rule. And so, like, we walk out, and you kind of see everybody lined up. And kind of getting to talk to people and, like, shake their hand. People come a long way to watch Notre Dame play football, and I think that's the coolest part. That's kind of like the loose part where I'm like, all right, kind of get out of that intense mode for a little bit.
Right.
Enjoy this. Like, no one gets to do this. Like, I get to do this. Like, it's pretty cool, and people are shouting your name, and they want the best for you, and they're just there to root on Notre Dame, and that's my favorite part of the game day experience. So that's something that really sticks out to me. And then another thing is we do mass the day before. I don't know how you guys did it.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, so we do mass the night before. So we go mass, pep rally, and then we get to the hotel. We have to, obviously retire for the night. But we do the mass the day before, and I always love that too. That's kind of cool. Like, guys are still a little loose, not too tense, and we enjoy mass together, and obviously, give our piece to one another, and then go on to the hotel. So that's kind of a cool experience as well. But yeah, there's nothing that beats the walk. I think that's pretty cool.
And see, it's so encouraging, Cole, because when you get up in age and you've had success, right? So, I mean, I'm proud to say that I was part of the Notre Dame's last national championship year. We won 23 games in a row, all that stuff. And it's great. And I'll tell people that, but what folks don't really know is like my best moments were like with my guys by myself with like no sports, right? No athletics, no one got a uniform on, no one's making tackles, no one's throwing any touchdown passes. Like, we're in a space that we have together. It's almost kind of like being in the locker room before the game. Like, it's just that special moment. And it's encouraging to hear someone of your age that kind of understands that. Yeah. And so let me tell you, when you get my age, you're going to go back and go, oh my God, I remember this guy named Chris telling me the story about the walk and how great that was, and then the team mass. But honestly, I mean, that's really what is so special, because at the end of the day, I mean, you have friends and people all over the country, they play college athletics. I don't care what sport it is, but there's one moment before they have competition that they're there with their teammates, and there's no one else. And you're looking at each other, and you know that, hey, I can count on my brother. Hey, I can count on my sister. Whatever sport you play, that's what I love about it. And that's why I think athletics is so great, because it creates this bond that normally you might not be hanging out with the guy that you're saying a prayer with, or the guy that you're holding a hand during a prayer or something like that. But because of this sport, you're actually doing that. So that's what I think is so special. So now, I mean, what was your favorite game? I mean, you obviously were very worthy of being drafted by the Bears, right? So, I mean, kind of walk us through a game that you just thought, man, you know what, I was on. I made every block, I made every catch, it was great. I mean, did you have one of those moments?
Yeah, I think, obviously that first game at Georgia was pretty cool. I just had come off from a collarbone, so like everyone was like, is he ready? And I didn't really practice that week, and our coach just came, he's like, you're playing? Like, I'm like, yeah, I know. And he's like, there's no pitch count on there, you're going. I'm like, no, I know, I'm going. And so
I mean, you said, how many days did you practice? Once, or? I mean,
I
couple days?
Every day, but like I was just in, Coach Kelly put a red jersey on me.
Right.
So like, I hadn't hit anybody.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, they were like, we're going to you the first play of the game. So throw that dump pass, break a tackle, and
oh my God,
got like 4 guys on me, and get a gain about 8-9 yards to start the game off. So that was kind of got the jitters out and the the hit going. So my collarbone held up and popped right up, and I was like, all right, we're good to go. So that was a good game. And I think another game for me was and a huge game for all Notre Dame and Notre Dame fans is USC. I thought that was a great game for me, and we were able to do a lot of things in terms of moving the ball up and down the field, whether it was running the ball or passing the ball. So we had that was a fun game. We had over 270 yards rushing, I think, that game. And I love being a part of that, because, those offensive linemen, those are my best friends, and those are the guys that I live with. And to kind of be in there with them and be in line with them, I think that's a lot of fun. And obviously that's not the stuff that goes on the stat book, for me personally, but that's a lot of fun when you get to watch that the next week and in like a punish tape, or in the film room, and kind of be laughing with everybody as you watch the film from that week. So that was a lot of fun too.
Nice. And the fun thing about that is that eventually, I don't want to sound like this old guy trying to teach this young buck kind of how he should feel, but what you're going to see is that those memories are going to be there but it's the times that you had on the bus.
Mhm.
It's the times you had, you know, after mass, the night before the game, you guys went back to the hotel room, you guys were playing video games, or, you know, you guys are down the hallway, you know, talking smack to each other and everything. I mean, those are the moments that are going to become special. And you're going to remember how many yards you had, whatever game, but as you get older, it's going to get smaller and smaller, or they might get better. Oh, yeah, I had a 300-yard game. Oh, yeah. I was like, dude, right, come on, really? So now you're thinking about, so now you're a junior.
Mhm.
You've made a decision that if an opportunity comes, I'm going to get drafted. So what was that like? What was the conversation with your family about, hey, you know what? I'm going to forego my last year. There's an opportunity. I mean, what was that like?
Yeah, that was tough. That was a tough month or so. So after the season ended, I really wasn't thinking about this coming into my junior season. You know, at that point, my sophomore season, I was hurt a little bit with the high ankle sprain, so I was out a couple games and really kind of wasn't the same for the rest of the year after that.
Okay.
So I really didn't do much my sophomore year. And then obviously my junior year, I missed the first 2 games. So I was just like, all right, I just need to get on the field and like start playing again. Like, you know, I haven't been healthy now really in 2 years. So like I need to get out there and start playing. And then that kind of took care of itself in that sense. So I never really was thinking NFL prior to the start of the year. You know, I knew I had the talent to be a 3-year guy, you know, per se, but, you know, I just didn't have the production at that point. And I didn't have like, you know, the film available, all that type of stuff. So, you know, I finished the year out. We finished off at Stanford, had a great game at Stanford. And I remember we get like that next weekend off because
Right.
when they have kind of those conference we're not in the conference, obviously. So
Right.
conference championship, you know, we kind of have that weekend off. So I came back home and I was talking to my parents, and that's kind of when we started talking about stuff and, you know, what was going to be the right decision for me and how to approach this and, you know, make a correct business decision at this point. So it was tough. I mean, you know, there was no doubt in my mind. You know, I know some guys think about not playing the bowl game. Like I was playing the bowl game. Like that was important to me. Like regardless of what my decision was going to be. So I mean, I was pretty much undecided all the way through. And you know, I told my parents like, hey, I need to wait to make a decision until after the bowl game. Like I need to play this bowl game and like focus.
Really?
Yeah. So like, I didn't know what I was going to do. And then we play the bowl game. We win the game, obviously. We go out that night. We have a great time and, you know, just good to be around everybody. And, you know, you kind of coming off that high. And I get back home after New Year's. I'm like, I got to come back. You know, I'm like, I think I got to come back. And so, you know, my parents like, all right, like, let's sit on it for a couple of days. And then like, you know, you like make your decision. So a couple of days goes by and then you're like, yeah, okay. Like, all right. So I got to go back, like going back to workouts and like starting this all up again. And like, just to kind of like, and then I put in perspective, like I'm going to be the number 1 guy this year, like tight end wise. Like I realized that at that point. And it was kind of just all hit me at once. Like, yeah, this is like my opportunity to go out and go do this thing. And obviously it was going to suck not to be with my, you know, these guys and my brothers that I've been with for the past 3 years and my best.
Right.
But at the end of the day, like I have to do what's best for me, and they knew that for sure, and like they totally supported me. And once I made that decision, I haven't looked back. And it was not an easy decision just because of the bonds that you form at Notre Dame. Like,
Right.
I think anywhere else, like if I'm at, you know, at Alabama, Ohio State, like these schools like are pumping kids to the NFL, like that's their goal. Like Notre Dame, it's more than that. It's not, you know, there's an education part. There's the people you meet. There's all that type of stuff. And you know, so putting that aside and, you know, kind of being a little selfish for a moment was definitely hard, but definitely happy with the decision and, you know, looking forward to the future.
So when you make this type of decision, obviously this is weighs heavy on you. What's the conversation with Coach Kelly?
Yeah.
You know, and I'm sure he's kind of waiting, you know, he's kind of biting his fingernails, and I mean, he knows that you have an option. What was that conversation like?
Yeah, so I just gave him a call, and it was pretty to the point. I was just, hey, you know, I decided I'm going to declare for the draft, and he's like, Cole, that's awesome. Like, you know, I fully respect your decision, and we fully support you. And if there's anything you need down the road from us, like let us know, and we want to get you drafted as high as possible. You're going to be a great tight end in the NFL, and Anything you need, just let me know. And it was a really quick conversation, totally understanding, and he was just really, really, really great about it, and obviously very helpful along the way.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
If you're just tuning in, folks, you're listening to the Zorich podcast with Cole Kmet, fellow Notre Dame alum and top draft pick for the Chicago Bears. If you liked or if you missed any of this, you can check out the replay on my YouTube page at Chris Zorich 50. Okay, so now I'm going to ask you, give me one of your favorite Brian Kelly stories.
Okay, I got one. So he'd do this thing where we always do this thing with Coach Bayless called sudden change, where like we'll be in a workout and all of a sudden he'll blow his whistle and you got to do it if it's run a mile, like you got to run a mile right now, like you run a mile. Or if it's
really,
it's like we're doing sprint work, he blows that whistle, get on the line, we're running sprints, and you got to attack it, like you got to do it, like there's no like,
oh my god,
there's no like question, like you just do it, like that's the whole point of sudden change. So Coach Kelly like decided to put his little twist on it during spring ball. And were you guys in Loftus when you were there? When was Loftus built?
I'm not that old, man. It was built in the 90s. It was 87. Come on. No, I'm kidding.
Oh.
Yeah. We were there.
Yeah. So Loftus was there, and they put in these new speakers in the Loftus, and he had the operations guy or whatever put on helicopter noises for like his sudden change during practice. So we heard the helicopter noises going. No one knows what's going on. He didn't tell the coaches, nobody, only him and the operations guy.
Wow.
And all of a sudden we see a soccer ball in the middle of the field. And so we line up and he's like, all right, we're on the 10-yard line and offense, you got to score. Coaches get out, and like players, you have to call a play. And he's like, it has to be a passing play. So like we had to like pick a play with the soccer ball. And
oh my god!
Complain about it. You just got to go and do it.
Right.
It was just like, it was total chaos. So we ended up running this ridiculous play and like trying to loft it in the end zone. And like, it got batted away. And then but the whole point of the drill was like, you got to be prepared and like,
right.
You can't freak out. So like, that was kind of something that I always remember. And the players would always laugh about afterwards. Like, we got a freaking beach ball. Like, why are we, what is
right. That's awesome, man.
That's kind of something that sticks out to me that I always thought was funny.
Okay. Can you share kind of a moment that as a fan, we wouldn't know that it's kind of a special moment for you and the team? And I don't want to get too personal, but, can you give us a little insight on something that we as fans don't know that occurred during your last year at Notre Dame? So something like, hey, on a bus trip back, somebody got up and sang, or, hey, somebody had an emotional response to something. I mean, you just give us something that a lot of folks might not know about.
Yeah, I think for me, that kind of sticks out was our bus rides, obviously. So like in Orlando, when we were down in the bowl game, we were kind of going everywhere. And, sometimes it takes a while to get across Orlando to get places and whatnot. So I started this, me and Robert Hainsey, our left tackle, our right tackle. We started this prank thing where we were messing with people in terms of this. It was like a dumb riddle that we would do, like every time before I said something, you had to like touch your nose in order to be in the game or something.
Okay.
And so everyone got it except for Ian. And Mick Asaf, who's kind of like our smart aleck of the group, I guess you could say.
Okay.
Kind of thing. And so we were just pulling pranks on each other and doing that type of stuff. And those were kind of the things, like the pranks on the bus that we would kind of do with each other and whatnot was kind of just something that sticks out to me, and I always thought was a lot of fun.
Nice. Now, and that just gives somebody a different perspective on, who they see, on the field.
Yeah.
Okay. So now you've declared and said you're going to go. Are your parents helping you look for an agent? What was that process for you?
Yeah. So, we had talked to a couple agents actually prior to the season.
Uh-huh.
some agents had reached out in terms of, they knew like I was an up and coming player, and some scouts had said some stuff to them about me because like, they've seen me at practice and whatnot. And, they knew I was a good player. So I had talked to some scouts, and, obviously athletes, I'm wearing the shirt, athletes first right now. That's who I went with. But, I kind of met those guys and was able to talk to them a little bit prior to the season starting. And, felt really good about them, 2 Notre Dame guys, and Brian Murphy and Kyle McCarthy. And, obviously didn't commit to anything right then. But, once the season ended, it was that was a really easy decision for me, kind of picking my agents. So
Great.
yeah. So, once I declared, I went with them right away. And, I had kind of formed a good bond in terms of talking to them, whether they were at games or whatnot, and being able to kind of talk to them for a little bit. So that was a really easy decision. And that was something I didn't really have to sweat too much about, which is
That's awesome. And obviously, I mean, you went through this whole process with a great head in your shoulders. You were able to commit early, didn't have to worry about a lot of pressure, people, switching hats at the last second, coaches on your phone constantly, and it sounds like you were able to do kind of the same thing when you're able to pick an agent, which is great.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah, it worked out really well. And, these guys are great for me, and, they've been nothing but awesome. So I just felt like it was a good family atmosphere over with what they had, and kind of something similar to Notre Dame and all that stuff. So that was a pretty easy decision.
Nice. Okay, so now, I mean, this is a crazy environment we're in. I mean, people, are doing Zoom calls all the time. People are trying to social distance and everything, but you have to work out.
Yeah.
And you have a draft coming up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, kind of like, I know what it is for a regular draft, but I mean, what is the draft like in this new day and age?
Yeah, it was weird. I mean, it was weird. I remember when this kind of started coming out, it was like March 13th. It was kind of like the day it really, really set in. I had gone to the final NBA game of the season with the Lakers against the Nets.
Wow.
My birthday on the 10th.
Nice.
We went to that, and then like things kind of shut down. So it was like, what's going on? So, I was continuing to work out, and I was in LA at the time, continuing to work out there and still trying to figure things out. And then, a couple weeks went by and kind of realized, like, okay, this thing's like not going away. Like, I should probably get home to my family and stuff. So at that point, decided to come back, and at first, like, just set up a gym at my grandma's house and with weights.
At your grandma's house, really? That's awesome.
It was still cold here, so like couldn't go outside too much. It was freezing, but set up weights at my grandma's house. Was working out there, just staying in shape, and obviously trying to stay, maintaining my health through this.
Right.
So yeah, staying in shape by doing that stuff, and then the draft came, got picked by the Bears, obviously, and. It's been easier now with the warmer weather, but it was definitely difficult at first trying to navigate this whole thing.
Okay, so now let's just back up a little bit. So I've seen on social media kind of the response to the phone call and everything like that, but can you walk us through? I mean, I know how my experience was, but your experience was totally different than mine, but kind of share with us, like, do you think you're going to go the first day? I mean, are people in your ear saying, oh, you're great, you're going to do this, you're going to be the first guy? I mean, all this stuff. I mean, what was that process like? And kind of walk us through kind of up until the phone call.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, any kid going in the draft wants to go in the first round, right? So that's the thing, my agents, like, they told me, like, hey, like, it's a possibility you go in the first day. But they were on it. Like, I was like, you guys got to be honest with me. And they're like, it's more likely you go second, but, like, I think you could definitely go in first round. So like that was definitely a conversation. And obviously a lot of this plays into what other players are available. I mean, if we're really looking at tight ends, you're going to take a quarterback over a tight, because, a quarterback is a more prevalent position in the NFL. So
sure.
Obviously this past draft, the receivers were stacked. We had a really good receiver class, really good quarterback class. And obviously some really good linemen as well. So we knew kind of those guys were kind of going to fit, and, it all goes with team needs as well. So, I was definitely thinking possibility with first, but I was expecting second, and if first came, I would have been thrilled. So like,
right.
Kind of just like, okay, like I'm thinking second round, but first round would be awesome. So yeah, no, definitely got some buzz for that. And when it didn't happen the first night, I knew there were some teams, whether it was Green Bay or Tennessee, kind of sitting there that, maybe could have taken me in the first. When the night kind of ended, it was like, oh, okay, like it's all good. Like second round, it'll be fine.
I mean, it was almost like a relief, right? I mean, even though it didn't happen.
Yeah, it was like, because you're just waiting almost for, and then when the day is finally over, you're like, all right, like let me relax, get some sleep.
Exactly.
So I didn't sleep at all prior to the first round. And that night, after the night of the first round, I slept great because I was like, okay, like it's gonna happen at some point tomorrow, whether it's second round or third round, it will happen tomorrow. Like I know it's
right.
So, the start of the day, like right off the bat with Cincinnati, I knew it was an option, and then it was like Cincinnati, the Patriots, and the Colts were like the three teams that I really thought were gonna probably take me there. So, I was getting some buzz like from my agent saying, hey, look, Indianapolis might trade up here and take you. Indianapolis trades up. So I'm like, oh, wow, like it's going to happen right now. Don't get the phone call. So obviously Frank's freaking out, he's telling me to calm down. I'm like, Dad, I'm fine. You need to freaking out. He doesn't know what's going on. He's like, I can't believe no one's taking you here. I'm like,
Dad, thanks. Really? I got it.
It'll be fine. And then my phone rings and it's pick 42 with Jacksonville on the clock. And so we're all like, wow, okay, Jacksonville. And my brother, my youngest brother to the side was like, not Jacksonville. And, I answer the phone call, it goes black. So I don't see anything.
Right.
And then the call drops. So so I'm like, oh, maybe I'm getting a prank call or something. And then a new number pops up. It's a FaceTime. I swipe. It's pitch black. Can't see anything. I'm like, hello, no. And then all of a sudden, I see Coach Nagy's face.
No way.
Everyone's freaking out. My youngest brother's crying, and then it was amazing. It was an unbelievable feeling, a lot of relief, and happy now I was so happy to get that done with, just to now be on a team and get back to football and,
sure,
playing, getting ready for the season, all that stuff. So obviously a really cool experience, but it was obviously a really cool story too, but pretty wild as well.
So, and I don't know if it truly has set in for you yet, but you're actually going to play for a team that I'm assuming you cheered for as a kid growing up.
Yeah, it's crazy. I still can't believe it. I mean, it's just, it's unbelievable. I grew up a huge Cubs fan, a huge Bears fan, and yeah, I still can't believe it. I'm going to be suiting up for the Chicago Bears, this upcoming year. It's unbelievable. It's awesome.
And it's going to be so weird because, everybody has their canned story for whatever team you're going to be drafted, right? You're going to say, oh, New England, oh, yeah, I watch Gronk, or, hey, this team, oh, yeah. And everybody is being honest, but to an effect, they're not, right? I mean,
right.
They don't care whoever they get drafted for.
Right.
But when it's the hometown team that you actually cheered for as a kid, and I'm sure if we dug deep enough, there's probably some sweats or some jersey or like at least a baseball cap of you in a Bears jersey or a Bears t-shirt, right? Yeah. And this was real. And so now you have a chance to actually play for it. And it's going to be, it's crazy. Because, I mean, this is kind of what I went through. But you aren't going to really feel it until like your second, third, fourth day of practice when everybody is exhausted and your butt's getting kicked and you're like, this is crazy. Why did I do this? And you're going to be like, man, this is the Bears.
Yeah.
And it's almost going to give you like a little more oomph, right? I mean, during doubles or whatever it's going to be. And it's something that you're going to kind of like smile to yourself a couple times and go like, man, and it's weird because like no one really has this experience, like, except for you. And it's like, man, and like I find myself sometimes like just sitting in the locker room by myself, literally after everybody left, going like, holy shit, like this is real. Yeah. I mean, you're going to have that feeling. And as much, and as awesome as it was to play for Notre Dame, and it was great.
Yeah.
It's just something different because it's like, hey, I was a fan and they chose me. Right. It's not like, hey, I was a free agent, I signed with them, I wanted to go here. It's like, hey, like they have value.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they wanted me. So it's going to be a really, really kind of really special situation for you, man.
I'm excited.
The only thing I want to warn you about, and this is being a hometown kid, I'm sure your dad will tell you this, you got to find somebody who's going to take care of your tickets. So I know I'm being dead honest, bro. And I'm assuming, I know your mom, you might want to put her in charge of that.
Yeah.
Because you're going to get people that you're going to get cousins you didn't even know existed. Your mom's like, who are you? What side of the family are you on?
Yeah.
You're going to get people out of the woodwork.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, kids from junior high that never talk to you, they're going to now talk. Oh, I want some tickets. I want to do this. I want to do that. I mean, it's just going to be one of those crazy, crazy situations, man.
Right.
So I want to wrap it up a little bit, but I mean, this is kind of it has to be a dream come true for you. And the idea that you have a chance to kind of take that next step, but also do it in front of like your family, and the fact that you're like, well, what are you, 45 minutes away from Hallis Hall or 20 minutes? I mean, see, come on. I mean, no, that doesn't happen to anybody. Are you kidding me?
Crazy.
That is awesome.
Yeah,
And I hope that, you know, as time goes on, that you really understand how special this really was. Because when I got to the Bears, Tom Thayer, who was a product of Joliet Catholic, he was on the Bears. And he kind of explained it to me. And he's like, hey, Notre Dame is great. It's awesome. But playing for the Bears when you're a hometown kid is really something special.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so, I mean, you're going to have a blast. And you're going to have a whole bunch of new friends that you didn't think you ever had. You have relatives you didn't even know who. You'd be like, Dad, what side is Cousin Mary on? Like what?
That's funny.
The idea that you have a chance to fulfill a dream is really, really cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Cole, you've had a chance to kind of experience success on a great level at Notre Dame. Experiencing two sports, a lot of people don't have a chance to accomplish that. You were able to do that. And then you have a chance to kind of fulfill a dream, not only to play in the NFL, but to play for your hometown team.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to get too sappy, but I mean, this is really, really cool.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
And the idea that you could pinch yourself and you still aren't going to believe it sometimes is really, really cool, man.
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, I'm totally grateful. And I mean, if we kind of walk through my whole life story, I guess you could say, up to this point of 21 years. So not much, but it's crazy how all the circumstances led up to this. If I at one point would have chose baseball for whatever reason, like, I wouldn't be in this situation. If I decided not to come out this past year, I wouldn't be in this situation. So, all the decisions that I kind of made kind of led to this, and it's pretty cool to kind of see it, come to be. And, definitely looking forward to what's next and, what's going to happen next with the Bears.
And Cole, let me tell you that you've had great support from your family. Mm-hmm. I mean, when you've shared with us when those big decisions are going on in your life, you're able to talk to them. Mm-hmm. And for them to have a chance to kind of share this with you, but also give you the proper guidance that you need. I mean, a lot of kids don't have that. So you're very lucky to have great supportive parents. And I'm not just saying that because I know them, but the idea is that when you put a lot of hard work into raising your son or daughter, I mean, folks, this is the result you're going to get. You're going to get a positive, thinking, thoughtful young man who thinks about his future, but not just about what's going to happen now, or, hey, I had my time at Notre Dame, I need to go out to the pros and do my thing. I mean, Cole doesn't have that type of attitude, and each big decision he had to make, I mean, he's made it with his family. And I think that's very, very special. And, you could be a great example for a lot of young people out there who may not have the support, or if they do, they may be in it for the wrong reasons. And, you know, the idea, when I say the wrong reasons, I mean like, hey, I want to go to Notre Dame because I can go to the pros. Well, hopefully that's not why people choose Notre Dame. I mean, because if you get an injury, like, I mean, you've talked about it, you may not have that chance.
Right.
But you have great memories. You've had a great experience. I mean, think about if you never even got drafted, right? Think about if you never played professionally, you have some amazing stories and amazing experiences that will last a lifetime.
Yeah, totally.
And so now you have a chance to kind of extend that. And, you know, I'm just looking forward to an awesome, hopefully 10, 15, 17 years like your uncle, hopefully, you know, in the NFL, hopefully with the Bears. But, you know, I think it's going to be really exciting. And Colt, thank you so much for taking out the time. I know you're got a lot of stuff going on. Tell us about when training camp is coming up and how that's going to work.
Yeah, so we got, as right now, our report date is the 21st, I believe, so kind of late July. Tentative schedule, depending on what's going on. But, you know, pretty confident that's going to take place. And just kind of working out with some of the guys around the area right now, you know, running routes and all that type of stuff and kind of staying in shape that way. So, you know, we've been putting the work, and I'm excited to get going and get on the field with these guys and, you know, show them what I can do as a rookie coming in. And, you know, I'm just going to continue to study up on that playbook. And when camp rolls around, I'm going to be ready to go. So I'm excited. I'm excited and ready to get going.
So, like, are you breaking into like high school gyms or like, I mean, what's going on? Like, how are you finding 40 yards to run, or what's going on with that?
We've contacted some high schools. I'll keep them on the low just because contacted some high schools and they've been able to, you know, get us on the field for a little bit.
Nice. Okay.
So it's been good. Yeah, they've been, the schools around here have been great, and we've been able to get in and you know, get some work in. So it's been good.
That is just absolutely terrific. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it was an honor to have a chance to kind of talk to and spend some time with such a great young Notre Dame man. This is, I mean, and again, Cole, I'm an old dude, and when people said, "Oh, you're a Notre Dame guy," I'm like, "Yeah, dude, whatever." But dude, truly, you are. You've done everything the right way. You've overcome some adversity. You're able to turn into a positive situation. You know, I'm just looking forward to, like I said, the next hopeful 17 years with the Bears here in the Chicago area, man. So thank you so much. Thank your dad, Frank. Thank your mom, Candace, your siblings, because, I mean, the support I'm sure you're getting is just awesome. And it's just exciting to see a good kid rewarded in what they want to do. So it's just awesome. I'd like to thank everyone for listening on Facebook Live. My producer / wife, Candace with a C. The idea, and this was actually her idea. She's like, "Dude, with all this COVID stuff going on, you're in my face constantly. You need to do something." So I was like, "Huh?" She's like, "You need to start a podcast." So I was like, "What?" So I give all props to her because she's the one who started this thing. This interview, again, will be on my YouTube channel at Chris Zorich 50. If you like it, please click subscribe, and you get a whole bunch of information. We're going to have more interviews. We're going to have Bear stuff, Notre Dame stuff. Cole, again, man, this was an honor, and I am excited. Hopefully you have a chance to come back sometime, and I just wish you the best of luck, man. I'm really, really proud of you.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Chris. Thank you. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. All right, buddy. Take care. Tell your dad I said bye.
We'll do.
All right, man.